time with you guys. I just want to say thank you to all of them. Our final speaker today is Jack Gleason. Jack's a good friend of mine. He and his partner, Eric Marcus, over at MajorLeagueTrading.com. These guys have been on the scene for several years. Jack has made a name for himself very quick with his trade setups and the way that he and Eric, their teaching style, their trading style, and they have a very, very good trade setup that I've invited them in to teach you today in the Nadex. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jack, and let me make him the presenter really quick so we can do a sound test and he can share his PowerPoint.
Can you hear me?
There you are. I got you. I got you, buddy. How you doing?
And I couldn't have done it without you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right, so we got my correct streams. I got a few monitors here.
I see you.
So
cool.
All right, thank you, Jeanette. Okay, all right, guys. I'll start off the questions here. Yeah, so right now what we're looking at is where I'm actually talking from. So this is my trading setup I use. Looks like a spaceship. People tell me it looks more like a, Grand Theft Auto car than a trading setup. But today I'm going to be going over my setups that I use to trade Nadex. Some of you guys might have heard of Nadex. Some of you guys might never have heard of Nadex. But what I'd like to introduce you to here today is what exactly Nadex binary options are, how I personally trade them, and the reason I'm absolutely in love with Nadex, and it's become, so I primarily trade two things, futures and Nadex. So if any of you guys out there trade futures or Nadex, just go ahead and drop it in the chat room so I can get to know my audience. I'd like to kind of have an idea how many of you guys have experience in either or. But I trade futures and Nadex, and in 2015 I first came across, I was like, what is this binary options thing? And this was actually right around this time of last year. I funded an account with $250, and I was like, I wanted to buy my girlfriend a Christmas present, but I didn't want to spend, I wanted it to be the market's money. So I was like, hey, if I can just get a couple of trades right with $250, my original goal was to turn it into $2,000. I ended up taking that $250 into $18,000 in 3 weeks, and instead of buying her a little gift, I actually took her on a vacation. But I did this all in 3 weeks. I recorded every single one of my trades. So some of you might be skeptical out there, as I would be myself, but don't worry, I actually recorded all of the trades. And for everybody willing to stick around to the end of the presentation, I'm going to shoot you that video. I'm going to give you guys access to that video of me actually taking $250 into $18,000 in 3 weeks. It's a great educational video and motivational. Obviously those results would be hard to replicate, but it's really a sight to be seen. But my name is Jack Gleason. My company is Major League Trading, and let's get into it. I do have to read a risk disclaimer before we get started, but an important notice, no representation is being made that the use of this strategy or any system or trading methodology will generate profits. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. There is substantial risk of loss associated with trading securities and options on equities. Only risk capital should be used to trade. Trading securities is not suitable for everyone. Futures, options, currency trading all have large potential rewards, but they also have large potential risk. You must be aware of the risk and willing to accept them in order to invest in these markets. Don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. This website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or currencies. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed on this website and presentation. The past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results. CFTC Rule 4.41. All right, a little bit about me. My name is Jack Gleason, and the first educational class I ever did was with Tom Sawzoff when I was 22 years old. I'm now 27, so it was about 5 years ago, and I actually taught on his network to an audience of over 40,000 people, and that was my first kind of exposure to a mainstream audience. Now, before that, I taught a couple of friends how to trade. One of them, who actually ended up, he was 19 years old, got funded by a prop firm, beat out 300 other traders, and they backed him. And at that point in time, I was like, well, geez, like I just taught my friend to do that. He's, a freshman in college, and he got $100,000 to trade with from a prop firm. I could probably teach some other people too. So when in 2015, I was working for a prop firm. trading 30,000 to 60,000 shares a day in equity, and that's on the left-hand side. It's me and my friend Matt. And then I decided to start an educational company called Major League Trading. So a little bit more about myself. I'm kind of one of those kids that got into trading really, really young. When I was 15, I bought my first stock. I was obsessed with trading. I'm sure many of you guys are there here, whether your husband or wife is out shopping, or maybe your friends and family are, and you're here to learn, you're here to pursue your passion. That is exactly where I come from. I'm absolutely obsessed with trading, and I've been obsessed for a very long time. After reading the Forbes 500 when I was, 12 to 13 years old, I was like, what are these people doing to make so much money? And one of the consistent themes was every single one of them seemed to be involved in investing, or they were a hedge fund, they had their own hedge fund, investment firm, Warren Buffett. So I said, well, I better figure out what stocks are about, how to make money off them if I want to be really, really wealthy. But so at 15 years old, gave my dad like $500, started buying stocks. At 18 years old, opened my own option trading account, and like probably many of you, options were the first thing I came across, traditional options. I put like $1,000 in an account. At the time I was, delivering pizzas. I ended up taking that $1,000 into $5,000 my first month, and I thought I had it all figured out. Well, that put me on the path and the journey to teaching myself how to trade. That success did not last long, as it doesn't for most traders who just jump into the scene thinking they know everything. But it didn't matter that at the time that success didn't last long, because it was instilled in me from the beginning that I will absolutely not give up at trading, and for the next 3 years I pursued it till I mastered it. When I was 20 years old, I was actually able to study under a hedge fund trader, a friend's father of mine in the Chicagoland area, so that really laid the groundwork of kind of learning a lot of, I would call them insider secrets, at a pretty young age. By the age of 22, I was hired by a prop firm, did educational class with Tom Sosnoff, who is the founder of Thinkorswim. For those of you who are not aware who Tom Sosnoff is, founded Thinkorswim, which probably many of you have heard of or maybe even use. And then, like I said, I discovered the power of binary options in 2015, December 2015, so I could buy my girlfriend a Christmas present, but instead I ended up with so much success that I took her on a vacation in Naples, and there's a photo from that vacation. This is a little bit of a screenshot. I just want to motivate you guys, because when I first started this, I was like, my goal was just to make a little Christmas money to spend on her, and I totally changed the way I trade because it gave me a new product. And that's what I asked you guys to think about here going into this presentation. As I talk about Nadex, as I explain how it works, as I talk about the setups I use, could you be interested, or are you interested in possibly trading a new product that you've never traded before? Now, I don't care if you currently trade options, futures, ETFs, stocks, forex, you name it. Maybe you trade cattle. Doesn't matter. I want you to consider that there is a possibility that with limited risk binary options, with starting capital as low as $250, this could be potentially the thing you start picking up trading next week. All right? So, what I am about to teach you, I'm going to show you guys what binary options are, specifically Nadex. I'm going to show you guys how they work and how to make trading a yes or no prediction. I'm also going to go over my favorite trading setup I use. It's called the charge trade. That setup only takes about 15 minutes a day to pull the trigger. So if you got 15 minutes a day, you're going to want to stick around, because this trading setup I'm going to show you is going to be very, very useful. Binary options are the perfect product for a technical analyst. I consider myself a strict technical trader, specifically intraday, although I used to do a lot more swinging, but I prefer to be flat on a close. I have the ability to spend time at a computer all day. I know everybody does not have that ability, but all of the setups I use work on multiple time frames, higher time frames, daily, hourly, you name it. When I first started trading, I was delivering pizzas. I did not have excess capital. I did not have 25 grand to day trade stocks or day trade options. The pattern day trading rule, which some of you guys may or may not be aware of, was limiting me only 3 intraday trades for a 5-day rolling period. Now, some of you might have 25,000 that you're risking, some of you might not. But for me at the time, I needed a product that allowed me to intraday trade. And that's why I focused on futures, because options did not allow that. Binary options are a simple, I like to think them as a simple form of traditional options because it breaks the trade down to a yes or no decision. Some of you are probably thinking, a yes or no decision in trading, what does that even mean? The other thing that's a huge advantage is the starting capital is as little as $250. $250 minimums to get started trading. Like I said, binary options started out as an experiment for me. Now they are the product I trade second most. I trade futures primarily, and Nadex binary options is my second most actively traded product. The other thing that's interesting about binary options is the availability for different time exits. If you guys are traditional options traders, you're probably aware that most options, most stocks, they have, one expiration a month, every third Friday every month, right? So that's really, you don't really have many options to trade. You got every third Friday of every month, and then on the more liquid stocks, you have the weeklies. With binary options, I have every 20 minutes, every hour, every day, and every week. So I have so many more options when I'm trading binary options than I do over traditional options, which allows me to structure the trade how I deem fit. A lot of times, as traders, we anticipate a setup, and that setup will get a reaction. That reaction maybe only lasts an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, and then it fades or flickers. But the way I've structured my trading is all I need is that reaction for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, or even a day. I think trading over a longer period of time becomes more random, and over the shorter period of time it is less random. And the perfect example of that is high frequency traders who on the shortest period of time absolutely, like some of those guys have no losing days at all because there is less randomness on shorter periods of time. But Nadex binary options, what are they? Some of you who have never traded them, this is a slide you're going to want to pay attention to. Potentially even get out a pen and paper, write some of this stuff down. Turn off your cell phones, get off Facebook, shut down your email, because this is the kind of information that could potentially change your year in 2017. Now, binary options, really, like I said, I began trading them at the end of 2015, but 2016, they changed the way I was trading. And, coming up, guys, New Year's not far away. This could potentially be your biggest product of 2017. So, Nadex binary options are limited risk contracts based on a simple yes or no proposition, like will the markets go up at the end of the trading week? Are they going to go up? Are they going to go down? Yes or no? All right? Binary options are going to offer traders ways to trade the most active stock indices, commodities, forex, event, and even Bitcoin markets with relatively low collateral. And with relatively low collateral, I'm talking $50 a trade per contract. So, you can take trades. You can actually take trades with as little as $5, but those are very out of the money trades. Some of the indices you'll be able to trade, you can actually trade the Chinese markets. If you work all day, if you guys have a 9 to 5, and you're looking for a more active market to trade in the overnight session, you have access to the Chinese markets, you have access to the Japanese markets, you have the Dow, the Russell, the ES during the day, and also there's going to be binary options available in the foreign currencies as well, Aussie dollar, Euro dollar, yen, you name it. So there's a lot of different options for products you can trade in the forex and commodities markets is what I generally focus on. And also the indices. But binary options, and this is really the key that I love, they're in cash settled contracts that settle with an all or nothing payout left till expiration, meaning you get paid immediately upon settlement. So with stocks, if you do not have a margin account in stocks, or if you do not have a margin account in options, you have to wait T+3 or T+1, which is you're waiting a day or even 3 days for that money to settle back into your account. With binary options trading, you're actually getting that money instantly back in your account, and you can roll it into the next trade if you have a setup. If the condition of the contract is achieved, the settlement value is 100. If the condition is not achieved, the settlement value is 0. So meaning at the end of each trade, you're either going to get the full value of the contract or you're going to get nothing. So if you're right or you're wrong. So each contract's total value is $100. If you pay, say, $50 for that contract and the settlement is correct, you get paid out 1-to-1 risk reward. Right? It is also possible to close the contract prior to your expiration to either take profits or cut losses. I focus primarily on the dailies. That's what I'll trade. So at the end of the day, I'm deciding, will the S&P be above or below a level? And that's what's changed trading options for me, because I used to trade traditional options, and still to this day, my biggest gain and my biggest loss both come from traditional options. Both are 6 figures, and both were very close together in time. As you can imagine, I had a 6-figure winner before my 6-figure loss, but after that I kind of decided to take a step back on traditional options, because what the problem I was running into is I was holding overnight, and by holding overnight I was susceptible to news risk or overnight risk that I couldn't control, which put me in that kind of a situation. So now I focus on products where I do have control throughout the entire process of owning the contract. I can stop out. It's not like I wake up and next thing I know, the CEO of my company has quit and the stock's down 8%. My position is now worthless. But right here at the top right corner, we have an example of a contract. So you can see where it says US 500 March. Let me get a little to US 500 March. All right, so this I took a screenshot a while ago. See where it says 1947? So 1947 expires at 4:15. So if you're looking at the market is trading 1948.3, so slightly above 1947. What I can choose to do is I can buy on the offer. So I buy a contract for $60. That means my cost is 60, my reward is 40. That's because I'm above the money in this specific. I'm already above level. So if the market goes sideways, even if the market go down a full point, and we'd be trading at 1947.3, I would still receive a full payout of $100. And to me, that is why binary options have changed the way I trade and why I love focusing on them. Because I don't, with traditional options, you need to be right for the entire expected move. And all of you know probably about volatility pricing. Sometimes you need a $4 or $5 move to receive 100% return on your money. That's not how binary options contracts work. Now the other thing I could do is if I thought we were going to be below 1947, I could sell on the bid, all right? And that would make my reward 54.50 and my risk 45.50. All right, you see, guys, see how that works? All you're doing is once you've picked a strike, you're saying, and your trade goes, am I going to be above or am I going to be below that strike price? That's all you're asking to figure out. All right? Let me erase that. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So why Nadex? Here are the few benefits of trading Nadex binary options. Once again, it's limited risks. The maximum amount you can lose on every trade is your original investment. And some of you are probably thinking, oh, of course it's my original investment because every time I trade I can only lose what's in my account. Well, no, that's not true. Every time you're dealing with leveraged products, you're dealing with a double-edged sword. Whether it's futures, you're trading naked options, you could potentially lose more money that's in your account. If you guys remember the stock KBIO, there was a gentleman who had a $20,000 short position, stock jumps up in the after hours, next thing you know, he owes E-Trade $100,000, and he actually started a crowdfunding website or a crowdfunding campaign to help him pay off E-Trade. $20,000 position turns into a $100,000 loss. That's a position I never want to be in. Although those are black swan events, in the financial markets seem to happen every year. So limited risk on leverage, which is key. There's also low collateral required. Binary contracts are going to be priced between $0 and $100 with as small as starting capital is $250, which is what I had actually started with way back in December of 2015. Short-term contracts. Another big benefit. Binary options have expirations ranging from 20 minutes to a full week, giving you control of how you want to trade the product rather than the market maker saying, hey, third Friday next month, that's when we're going to settle. You get to choose based on how you deem the trade setup to occur, what strike you want to play with. All right? But my favorite part about binary options is you know when you enter the contract what your profit or loss will be based on where the price is. All right? So if you're trading regular options, you don't necessarily know the exact price you're going to get. You can get a $10 move in Apple and own a, you know, 100, say Apple's trading at $100. You get a $10 move. You don't necessarily know what that option price is going to be because volatility can change, data can change, things like that. So that adds another psychological factor that I don't want to deal with because I want to make trading as simply as possible. On the right-hand side, bottom of my screen, that is actually a profit I had in July. That is a video I currently have on YouTube, and it is the largest Nadex trade on YouTube. $18,000 profit in one single day. Price is king, and I teach price action. Binary options are the best product for a price action trader, and if you are a technical analyst, if you look at charts and determine direction, this stuff is for you, and I definitely recommend you try it. Let's look at the commission and cost structure because that's just another huge benefit. Trading fees 1 through 10 lots are going to be 90 cents per lot, and it's capped at $9. You are never going to pay more than $9 a side in Nadex binary options, which is huge when you're moving up into 20, 30, 40, even hundreds of contracts, which I will occasionally change. Scottrade, and I just took, you know, I'm picking on Scottrade here, but they just got bought out, but they charge $7 ticket charge plus $1.25 a contract. You can figure out how much you actually pay on your own brokerage firm by just looking at your statements, but that goes, if you buy a 100 lot in Scottrade, that's going to cost you a whole lot more than a 100 lot in Nadex. So I love the cap commission structure. Lots 11 and above, there's no additional fees, so as your size scales up, your commissions actually come down relative to your size. So expiration times are given at Eastern Standard Time. That's something you're going to want to know. And the spreads are where the market makers are going to have their edge, and the bids are usually 20. The bids and offers are like 50 to 200 contracts on the ES during the intraday, which is what I primarily focus on. But there's always liquidity in these markets, and there's no high-frequency traders coming and picking you off. When I worked prop, I was trading 30 to 60,000 shares a day, and when I was doing that, I was getting picked off left and right by HFTs. Every market order I put in, I'd only get filled on partial of what showed on the bid or the ask. If the bid or the ask is there, you put a market order out, you're going to get filled. Traditional options are complicated, all right? Like a group of lemmings, everyone is on the bandwagon as nobody's thinking for themselves. And I was one of these people. I first started trading traditional options, and it took me a while to realize how complicated they were. 4 things a person needs to be able to compute when trading traditional options: delta, gamma, theta, vega, and you need to know volatility versus historical volatility to correctly trade options. Now, if you can do all of that on the fly while doing your analysis, all power to you. All power to you. I cannot. I am a price action trader. I like to focus on the trading setups I've created and executing them and managing my emotions. The last thing I need is a super complicated math problem to fix on top of that. If you understand the Black-Scholes and can calculate that on the fly, all power to you. I cannot do that. So I like to make trading simple. All right. One of my favorite quotes by Bernard Baruch is, "If a speculator is correct half of the time, he is hitting a good average. Even being right 3 or 4 times out of 10 should yield a person a fortune if he has the sense to cut losses quickly on ventures where he is wrong." There's no edge for the HFTs. The question is, why no HFTs? Is Nadex not allowing that? HFTs do not have edge in Nadex binary options. That's why they're not there, because they don't have an edge. And it's a central exchange. Anytime there's a central exchange, front running, like they cannot front run orders because all of the orders are sent. The way HFTs works in equities is there's multiple different exchanges. If you route to one before it hits the second exchange, the high frequency traders will pick up your order on the first exchange, route to the second exchange faster than you can, and then pick off your order in front of you. When there's a central exchange, there's no high frequency trading. Nadex is a central exchange. So think about that. How many of you guys trade options in here, or ever have, like to do it? And that's fine. I mean, really, if I'm not trying to convince you guys not to trade options. I'm just saying if you do trade options, you're absolutely going to love this stuff. I can't tell you how many times I've bought a option contract, and I used to trade options very, very heavily, very, very heavily. But I got to the point where I had so many trades that I would be right on my price. I'd be right on my entry, spot on. The market would go my favor, and I wouldn't manage the position as well as I should. I either held on too long or didn't get out of the trade, and the theta ate me out. I was right on. I mean, have you guys ever been right on price but not gotten paid when you're trading options? Been the problem with you. So you're being right on price, but you're not getting paid, right? And that was my problem. I think that's most people's problem with options, because that time factor, that theta, makes it a little more complicated, and that's why I keep telling people I really think Nadex is going to be bigger than options in 10 years. I really believe that. So getting on the forefront of this stuff, that's why I absolutely love it. And I love showing people this, because this absolutely changes the way people trade. So what I did here is I brought an example to the table, because I don't want to just talk about it. I'm kind of I'm the guy that not only teaches you, but I show you. And I do that actually in my live trading room. I show you what I'm trading. I don't just talk about trading setups. I actually show you my orders getting executed, which is huge. But what I did here is so this is Thinkorswim, for those of you guys who recognize this. I had picked up the 2120 strike as an example in the S&P futures options. So they're a little different than regular options, but S&P futures options versus Nadex options, because they're both traded on the S&P. All right, so 2120 in the S&P 500, and let me get my little highlighter out here. 2120 is the strike I'm looking at. It's 350 by $6. All right, so we look here, $6 by 350. So multiply that cost by $50, so it's $175 by 300. $300 on the ask is what it's going to cost you. If I want 100% return on my investment, if I want to double my money on this trade, and these are weeklies, I am going to need the S&P. Now it's trading 2117.75 here. I need the S&P to move 14 points or a move to 2032 upon expiration to receive 100% return on my option. So if I invest $300, I need a 14-point move, and I return 100% on my investment. All right, fair enough. We're trading 2117s. I need to move to 2032s to return that. Now, let me show you, and I actually ended up taking this trade in Nadex binary options. Let me erase these drawings. So with Nadex binary options, I took the closest thing I'd come up with a similar trade. Now, it might be hard to read if you're on a small screen, but what we have here is a 2021 strike. And I talked about how Nadex is just a yes or no, All I need is the market to be above 2021 to receive 100% return on my investment. So actually, I got more than 100% return. So at the time, I paid $45.50 for these. So 45. Sorry, my handwriting's horrible on a computer. $45.50. So if I paid $45.50, that means my reward is actually $54.50. Okay? So I'm making $54.50 for every $45.50 minus your commissions, which in and out are $1.80. Actually, it's $18 total because it's $9 a side. So $18 commission is what it's going to cost me for the whole trade. I bought 54 contracts. So 54 times 100, which is the total value of expiration, is what? $5,400. All right, so it's a $5,400 trade, and all I need the market to do, and you can see right now the market is trading a little bit higher, so this is 20, it was trading 20, 20, 75, so if the market goes literally half of a point here, 2 ticks, in the S&P, 2 ticks, I win the trade. You're right, Carlos. I win the trade. So you can see 2020. This was taken a while ago. Obviously, we're trading in the new highs now. But so all I need is us to go 2020. 2020 above 2021. All right? If we get above 2021, I get $5,400 on this trade. So basically, what I needed in this market was a 3-point move to receive 100% return on my investment. What I need in the futures market is a 14-point move. So what would you guys rather have? A trade that pays you 100% return on your investment in 3 points, or a trade that returns 100% return on your investment in 14 points? In 14 points. 3. Obvious. That's a given. Now, some of you guys are probably like, oh, well, what's the catch? Like, why is it so much better? Well, the thing is, theoretically, if you just buy an S&P option, your upside is unlimited. So if the S&P keeps going, I'm going to make 200%, I'm going to make 400%, I'm going to make 500%. But how many times does it happen? How many times does that really happen? Like never. And if you're going for those home runs, you're going to be stuck in the mud, spinning your wheels, scratching every trade, losing. If you're going for home runs, you're going to be striking out. I'm about base hits. Base hits is what makes the money. Home runs, this isn't Sammy Sosa. There's no PEDs. This isn't Mark McGwire versus Sammy Sosa. Base hits, Ichiro Suzuki. Got to get you on base, all right? And for me, the smaller moves that pay more consistently than trying to just swing for the fences, So by trading a product that allows me to profit off those smaller moves and focusing on the entry, I've been able to completely change the way I trade this year. Ordinary income, Mary. All right, so let me get into the setup now. I'm going to talk about a setup. So this is just, I'm just showing you guys how Nadex works here, and I want to get into a setup now, so you guys can go ahead and get your pen and paper out. If you're not already interested, you're going to love this stuff. But I have 6 setups that I use, and by focusing on 6 setups, I keep it simple. All right, I don't use lagging indicators. I use price-based indicators. I don't use a MACD. I don't use an RSI. I don't use any of that. All right, I use price-based indicators, and I'm going to show you guys the setups I use, or one of the setups I use. I have 6 of them. I print them out on my desk so I don't get confused. It's pretty easy to remember 6. It's a lot harder to I don't need to remember 300 different candlestick patterns combined with volume. I focus on 6 setups. That's it. So this is one that's going to occur on days when the market is trending. All right. The trigger is on the close of the third 15-minute bar. Now this is a great one for all of you guys who work full-time jobs, because all you got to do is check your phone 45 minutes into the day at 9:15 Central Standard Time and say, oh, okay, did it set up or no? Yes or no? You literally can know very quickly. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a gap up or down, doesn't matter which way. And then after the gap up or down, I'm looking for 3 consecutive 15-minute bars that are either all red or all green, or all up or all down, right? So I'm looking for a gap and a continuation. Once I get that gap and continuation, I have my setup has triggered. It's telling me, okay, now you're looking for a trade. You're looking for the entry. So where is the entry? The entry is at the 50% retracement. The entry is at the 50% retracement. So I wait for that pullback, and that's where I place the trade. So let me show you what that looks like. Here's a great example. We have a gap up. 1, 2, 3 red bars. You can see these bars are making lower lows. 1, 2, 3. And then what I look for is I show you how the 50% retracement, that's my entry. As we trade up into that 50% retracement, 1933 is my entry. All I'm saying at that point in time, I pull up the Nadex chart and I say, what is the closest entry? What is the closest strike? And I bet that we're going to be below. I don't care if we're 3 points below, 1/3 of a point below, or 30 points below. as long as we're below my strike, I get paid the same. So it eliminates the psychological risk management, the continuous risk management that comes with, you know, holding a linear trade. Same setup to the upside. Gap up, 1, 2, 3 bars higher, and then you get that 50% retracement pullback. Once you get that pullback, that's where you're looking to take that trade. These are actionable trades. So that I don't like to make complicated trading setups. I like to keep it very simple, methodical. I've actually been able to create an indicator because this stuff, there's no guesswork. It's literally strict rule system following. Computer can do this stuff, and I'm pretty convinced somebody else can, you know, trick the computer into doing this because I see it work all the time. Same setup in the Russell. 1, 2, 3 red bars. Wait for that 50% retracement pullback. All you're looking for that thing to do is stay below that entry level. Just stay below that entry level, okay? What strikes do you choose? Remember how I talked about traditional options and how really you got the monthlies for every stock that has options, and then, you know, on the liquid ones like Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, all the big ones, those got weeklies. But the thing is about intraday trading and a lot of trading, it's a lot, like I said, it's a lot easier to figure out what the market's going to do in the next 2 hours and the next 2 weeks. At least that's what I think. There's a lot more variables over 2 weeks than there is 2 hours, correct? I mean, that's pretty simple. We all understand that. So what I do is I break each trade down into 2 different strikes, allowing me to spread my risk. 1 strike at the end of the day, 4:15 close, New York Standard Time, or Eastern Time. And then the other strike, I will choose no less than 45 minutes. So I'll go about an hour to like max 2 hours out, and I'll spread the risk amongst 1 to 2 hours out and at the end of the day. So I have 2 trades, but they're both primarily saying the same thing. We either want to be above or below the level that I determined based on this setup. And this is called my charge trade. What I've done now is I've actually built an indicator. Like I said, when I first started this stuff, I was coming up with these setups and I was creating a rule-based system, but then I found a coder. I found he's a magician. This guy's a genius. And I was like, hey, I need a code built. This is what I want to do. The system, I want the system to follow this. All right, so it's a rule-based indicator. This custom indicator will show up on the 3rd 15-minute bar, and it's going to tell you whether to go long or short, where to enter the market, and what the stop is. All right, what else can you ask for? Let's take a look at that. MLT charge trade indicator. You get the charge trade long triggered, and this works on Thinkorswim, for those of you guys who are wondering. It'll pop up a line, MLT charge trade long, and it'll give me my target buy, 2049 quarter. I place my order, actually will place this in futures for those of you guys who trade futures. I'll place a trade in futures, I'll place a stop, and I'll place it in Nadex. So I'll be taking it a couple of different ways. What I like to see is I like to see an exact touch of the 50 and then rock it off. If we don't get an exact touch or spend more than 2 bars at that candle, I exit at highs. So as soon as we get up to 2054, I exit at those highs. Quick 5-point trade. $250 contract in the S&P, and depending on how much money you place in Nadex and how you trade, that's, you know, if we're above that level, you get 100% return on your strike as long as you paid $50 or less. Same trade setup, different day. 1, 2, 3 bars long, and this thing gives me the target buy, 2086 half with the stop, and the charge trade long trigger gives me a little line. I don't even have to look for it. I mean, once I see it, it's pretty easy to recognize because the first 50 minutes of the day, you know it's there. You just check it once a day. I'll go in, I'll place the trade, and you can see we come back. 86.75 is the level where I want to buy. You can see we trade 86 quarter, 86, and then we trade back up. Now, we spent more than a couple times, more than a couple bars at these 50%. So once again, like I said, I'll exit at those highs. I'll exit at those highs. Now, this is a setup that I hold. If I get the charge trade long to trigger, 1, 2, 3 bars up, you pull that 50% retracement, you get that touch. If that 50 touches and instantly bounces, I hold that all day. You see this setup almost every time the market trends really hard during the day, especially on breakouts or breakdowns. This is a really, really consistent setup. So let me show you actually before we get going. This is the live chart of this trading setup, and it's triggered 2 times in the last 20 days. Usually triggers about, I would say probably 3 times every 20 days, but if you go to this one from the 1st of November, you see the MLT charge trade long, then you just pull up that 50% retracement. Now this one didn't trade till all the way at the end of the day, but you can see it traded right there and then ticked off. I mean, it took all day to trade, but hey, gotta have some patience sometimes. And then the other time it traded, this is what I call a false signal, where we go down and have a red bar, but we don't actually make a lower low or a lower high. You see, that's in fact a higher high and a higher low than the previous candle. So that's a false signal. And on false signals, if you see a reversal of a false signal, you just flip it. Instead of selling, you go ahead and buy it. And you can see that actually traded perfectly right here at 145. So like I said, if we don't make a lower low, see, even though there are 3 red bars, that's a higher low. So that's a false signal. You get the reversal. Instead of selling it, you just flip it around and you buy it. Right there, you can see we trade 21.31. That's not a coincidence that we bounced there. There's computer programs that attach themselves to these levels. Trade right back up to the previous resistance, dilly-dally around, but that trade closes for a profit. All right, so that's a live chart. We haven't set up since then, and I can't go back more than 20 days of data. So those are the last 2 examples in the last 20 days of the S&Ps. But putting ideas into action in what I do every day. So every day, and I don't know if you guys are out there, if you create a trade plan, but I create a trade plan every single day. And I think that's really important. For those of you guys who don't have time to create a trade plan, don't worry, I can give you access to mine. I know the levels of support and resistance coming into the day for the S&P 500. I'm aware of the market-moving economic news, and I record all of it. I formulate my opinion on the trend. I do a morning trade plan and send it out to all of my members every single day. That includes, on the right-hand side, you'll see this is our MLT proprietary intraday trading indicator, and it creates and plots all of the value areas, the previous open, the settlement, the floor trader pivot points, and the overnight high and low. On the left-hand side, this is also a custom written code for Thinkorswim by Major League Trading, is all of the different Nadex strikes that are going to appear for the S&P for that day. 2104, 2107, 2110, and we plot those every single day because that allows us to know right on the chart we're analyzing, hey, where are we going to be above, where are we going to be low, where's the trade location we're looking for. So this is what I do every day. And there's a reason why traders fail. I like to kind of, this is my best way to explain to people, like, the reason you're not getting the results you want. Probably somewhere in here you probably can relate to. If you're not getting the results you want, you can relate to some of this. You're trading products you don't really understand. You don't fully understand the Black-Scholes module, but you're trading options. Don't do it. You don't know the exact max risk or the exact max reward when you're taking trades. That's creating psychological confusion on the position management as you go down through the trade. You don't have defined setups because you're new or you're looking to learn. You haven't defined them yet. But that's okay because we can define those. We can fix that. I'm sorry, Jeanette. Lagging. If you're using lagging momentum indicators, get rid of them. React to price rather than planning trade. You're not planning your trade. You're reacting price. You're chasing up. You're chasing down, or you lack tactical skills. One of those or a combination is probably why you're not getting the results you want. But my question to you is, are you willing to take the steps necessary to change your trading habits for increased profits? On the right-hand side of my screen, you see all those books. I've read every single one. None of them have ever really helped me trade. What helped me trade was I got to study under a mentor. Watch him trade every day. Watch him execute his orders. Not just have him teach me a lesson. Not just have him show me a setup, but have him show me the setup, then watch him execute it in real time. So there's 4 steps to trading profitably. Trade a product with risk reward known at entry. Eliminate psychological mistakes by reducing complexity. Define setups that occur every day of trading like I've done. I have 6. I've showed you 1 here today. And then execute based on price and ignore the noise of indicators. My story with this strategy: in December, I took $250 and over $16,000. I recorded every trade, and you can view all of them. Now, I promised every single one of you guys that if you showed up and stuck around to the end, you can get that recording. So if you want that recording of me taking the $250 all the way to the end of the year and actually end up $18,000, just email me, motivate me to support@majorleaguetrading.com, and I will send you that video. Now, using the 6 setups I teach, I was able to achieve incredible results, and I want to show you guys those setups. The charge I showed you today, I have 5 more setups that I use to profit from the markets. I have the halfway back, the bully, the dive, the leg start, and the flunk. I have a cheat sheet I keep on my desk. I'm going to give that to you guys with this course. You print it out, you put it on your desk, you never forget what you're looking for with these setups. My best 6 setups to trade Nadex is a master course I have developed. All right? These are the 6 setups I use to trade Nadex. How to trade Nadex binary options, simplify your trading, and eliminate psychological mistakes to stay focused. You're also going to get my real-world daily trade plan to define and execute, successfully manage your trades, and you can get this course for the first 50 traders for $97. All right? And if you are interested in watching me trade, not just talking about my trades, not just, talking about setups and teaching, but actually executing my orders on screen, you're more than welcome to join my trade room for $7 for 30 days. If you are interested in the video, or like I said, of me taking $250 and over $18,000, email me, support@majorleaguetrading.com, and just say motivate me. And I will send you the video. Support@majorleaguetrading.com. So let me tell you what else comes in this MLT Nadex course, because it is the absolute best deal you will find today or even on the internet ever. All right? So you're going to print out the 6 setups that I have, and you're going to get that instantly via email. You're going to plan your trades using these setups. I want you to keep a journal and track your results. 36 trades on a demo is my recommendation before going live. That's what I did. Remember, watch the morning trade plan videos, because I'm going to give you a guide every single day of the month, every single trading day. So watch it, plan it, and execute upon it, because you're going to find incredible value from that alone. That alone is worth $97. Don't forget before every trade to ask yourself, what is the trend, where is the major support and resistance levels, and what is your risk to reward. You will learn a simplified way to get all of your answers at mltnadex.com. My best 6 setups to trade Nadex is a $3,200 value. Your deal today, $97. All right? What you will get is you're going to get my best 6 setups to trade Nadex. These are all in video format. I have both live trading examples, demo examples, and screenshots, videos, you name it. I have all of that information so you can use. It's not just me, hey, look, here's this setup, blah, blah, blah. It's me actually taking trades based on the setup I'm showing you with real money, just to show you that, hey, this is what I do. I'm not just teaching you a setup like anybody could. I'm also going to give away that indicator I showed you guys here today. This is a $197 value. You guys are just going to get it for free, lifetime access to that. I also have live trading videos with tens of thousands of dollars in profits to show you guys how I execute and manage my trades on a daily basis, kind of get inside my head. You're also going to get, if you don't use Thinkorswim, we're going to give you a trading grid chart software tutorial for a $399 value, absolutely free. You're going to get a month of the morning trade plan. That alone is worth $97, and this is lifetime access, guys. Lifetime access, all right? Total value over $3,200. Your deal only today, $97. And if you choose that you want to come watch me trade, execute my orders, and learn even more about what I do, $7 for 30 days in the trade room. So $7, cancel at any time for 30 days. All right? Excuse my computer handwriting. Can you trade binary options in an IRA? No, you cannot. Sorry, I'm going to answer all right, Alex. Alex, you know where to get the video if you want it. All right, guys, any questions? And then we will go from there. Can you put the... Who do we use as a broker for binary options? So, Scott, this is another thing that's awesome about my course. So in my discovery of binary options, what I realized is there's a bunch of shady brokers out there, and you really have to be careful because some of them, like I had this broker like send your money to Cyprus, never sell that money again. So we work with the only CFTC regulated binary option broker called Nadex. So they're CFTC regulated. You have to open up an account. It's very simple process. You can actually fund that account with a debit card and get trading Monday. Yeah, Cantor. I don't know. I've never used Cantor. I only use Nadex because they're CFTC regulated, and I'm not sure what the relationship is, Andrew. But I do use Nadex. But yeah, foreign. I'm telling you guys right now, do not mess around with those foreign brokers. If they're not regulated, forget about them. Can you open an LLC account with Nadex? I'm not sure. I've never tried it. Also, guys, there is so I have one indicator that comes with this course. If you're interested in the bonus indicators, there's 4 more indicators that I use that trade and combined with the other setups. So I have 6 setups to trade Nadex. Each one of them has a corresponding indicator with that setup to help guide you along the way. I give you the proprietary charge rate indicator. If you want the 4 bonus indicators, those are $197 or 2 payments of $98. Can Australian citizens use Nadex? No, but there is another company. Nadex is actually believed owned by IG Group out of Australia, so there is a different binary option contract, you could use. Will the indicator work on other platforms? Right now, we only have it written for ThinkScript. We're in the process of getting it written for TradeStation as well as Ninja. And once that access is granted, you will have access to it. There will be no charge for the index. If you buy them for Thinkorswim, you'll have access for them in whatever code we end up writing them in. But we're getting that written. So the ES Trade Grid software, that is this. I'll show you. That's this. It's with Thinkorswim. Can I trade Nadex from Europe? Yes, you can. It also depends. You can trade a binary options. What part of Europe? It depends on what part of Europe. Okay, if you're with IG Group, can your software be used on IG's deal platform? My indicator software can only be used on Thinkorswim. However, the indicators just make it easier to visualize the patterns. Macedonia, I'd have to check with you, Maurice. Yeah, so you can get more information, but if you go to my website and try to buy this course, it's $300. This is a $300 course on my website. So like I said, this is 97 bucks. That's like the cost of an ugly date. It's really a great deal. All right, yeah, I'll do that. Al, can you buy the indicators at a later date for the 197? Unfortunately, Al, that's a one-time offer. They do go to 397 after that. But if you like accidentally exit it out and want to shoot us an email, I can get that. But Maurice, as far as Macedonia working with Nadex, you'd have to check on the IG website because I know they have different brokers. It's all owned by IG Group. They have different brokers for different countries based on the regulation. How do you pay now? MLTNadex.com. The membership is, honestly, the membership is worth the value, the 7 days to be able to come in. Even if you trade futures, I don't know how many of you guys trade futures, but I do futures trading in the room, so you guys are able to ask me questions. We have 3 different moderators. I'm on from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Then we have Perry come on. Perry's been trading since the 90s and is a coding genius. And I have my partner Eric come on after that, who likes to talk about divergences between the indices. But even if you just buy the course, learn the material, you can apply it. That indicator it comes with is going to work with stocks, ETFs, and you can pretty much apply it across any asset class. It's in Thinkorswim, and then use it from there. The indicator it comes with is the MLT proprietary charge trade indicator. There's 4 more indicators you have the option to buy that are associated with other trading setups. We throw in the MLT charge trade indicator, and there's 4 more. How long is this offer good for? 12 hours. You have the rest of the day to decide, so 12 hours. I mean, by 3 a.m. tonight, if you're still up thinking or not whether you want to buy it, no, it's not at all difficult, because the setups are, I mean, this course is about the setups. The indicators are the bonus. If you come into my room and you watch me trade, like I said, I didn't get good at trading until I watched somebody trade. Now, I know there's a lot of trading rooms on the internet, but almost none of them show their orders in real time. They'll like pull in a profit or loss. Like once they take the trade, like 2 hours later, they'll pull it in the screen like, this is a trade I took. No, my S&P grid, my S&P depth of market chart is on my computer the entire day. Do you have support help in case of a problem? Absolutely. I'm on the mic all day in the room. Well, not all day. Somebody's on the mic that we can answer questions in the room, and also our email support is great. We get back to you usually, for sure, within 24 hours, most of the time within 4. So I only showed one of the 6. I'm not going to teach you the other 5 trading setups, because that's what you're going to learn in the course. But you can obviously see the value I showed you with just one indicator. That one indicator, that one lesson alone, you can go ahead and use that and just use that. I mean, they're incredibly valuable. I cannot obviously teach everything in my course. I mean, first of all, it would take me 10 hours to do so, which is about how much time the course is. After you purchase the MLT Nadex, you'll get the option to buy the indicators. The 4 indicators. So if you did not see the option to buy the indicators, just shoot us an email and we'll send you an order form. But after you buy the $97 Nadex course, you have the option to purchase the indicators.